Alright, so I wanted to do a deity description video on the Mesopotamian god Tishpak. Now, Tishpak is kind of a mysterious deity. He was like the patron god of Eshnuna. Um, Ninazu was the original patron god of Eshnuna, but then Tishpak became the patron god a little bit later on. Now, I guess they're not the same deity, but they are similar, meaning Tishpak and Ninazu. I did do a video on Ninazu if you'd like to check that out. But I'd like to see about Tishpak. Um, I guess he's also similar to Marduk, the Babylonian god Marduk. There's something there that might be similar. Um, of course, Marduk is my patron deity, along with Shamash and Sin. Those are like my three patron deities, and Zarpanitu, the goddess too, because I worship their my patron deities' consorts as well. Um, but let's check out Tishpak. Um, Tishpak was a Mesopotamian god associated with the ancient city Eshnuna. Um, and its sphere of influence located in the Diyala area of Iraq. So that's northern Iraq. Uh, he was primarily a warrior god, but he was also associated with snakes, including the mythical Mushushu and Bashmu, and with kingship. And I believe Ninazu and Marduk were too. Well, I know Marduk was. Um, Tishpak was of neat. See, here's the thing. Here's the strange thing to me. Um, because it says here Tishpak was neither of Sumerian or Akkadian origin and displaced Eshnuna's original protective god Ninazu. So Tishpak isn't Akkadian either? Um, See if we can figure out where he might have come from then. Their iconography and character were similar, though they were not formally regarded as identical in most Mesopotamian sources. So that's what I was thinking of originally. That maybe Tishpak and was this like more similar to Ninazu than what we know. But I don't know. It is commonly assumed that initially the protective deity of Eshnuna was Ninazu, worshipped in the temple Esakil. From the Sargonic period onward, Tishpak competed with Ninazu in that location, and the latter finally ceased to even be mentioned in documents from it after Hammurabi's conquest. That is kind of strange, though, isn't it? I mean, while similar in character, Ninazu and Tishpak were not fully conflated, and unlike the goddesses Inanna and Ishtar or Enki and Ea, were kept apart in god lists. Okay. So we're on the section about his origin. It is generally agreed by scholars that Tishpak had neither Sumerian or Akkadian origin. Fritz Hammel suggested in 1904 that he was analogous to the Hurrian weather god Teshub. Tishpak, Teshub. I don't know about that. This theory was also supported by Thorkild Jacobsen at first, though he later abandoned it and proposed that Tishpak's name had Akkadian origin, which is now regarded as implausible. Well, what would his origin be? If it's not Akkadian, if it's not Sumerian, is it Elamite? Is it Hurrian? Jacobsen's second theory relied on the assumption that Tishpak's name, which he argued meant downpour, would have similar meaning to an etymology he proposed for the name of Ninazu, the water-pouring lord. According to him, an indication he was the god of spring rains. However, it is now agreed that Ninazu's name means Lord Healer. Yeah, that's what I thought. And that he was considered a god of the underworld and vegetation, and sometimes a divine warrior, not a weather deity. Elam has also been proposed as Tishpak's point of origin. Modern authors who support this view include Martin Stahl, who considers it a possibility that Tishpak's name has Elamite origin, Manfred Krebernick, who also classifies the name of his son Nanshak as Elamite. Okay, so right off the bat, it does kind of sound Elamite. Like Nanshak sounds like an Elamite name. And Irene Sibbing Plantholt, she also thinks it's Elamite. In 1965, Dietz Otto Edzard combined both theories. So arguing that Tishpak, I always called him Tishpak, but maybe it's Tishpak, was an Elamite form of Teshub? Oh, well, I don't know about that. Franz Wigerman proposes that Tishpak was one of the deities he describes as Tigridian snake gods, a group which he assumes developed on the boundary between Sumero-Akkadian and Elamite culture, to which he also assigns gods such as Ninazu, Ningizida, Ishtaran, and the Elamite god in Shushanak, the protective god of Susa and Elam. In the god list An equals Anum, all of them appear in sequence following the goddess of the underworld, Ereshkigal, which, according to Wigerman, indicates they were regarded as underworld deities. So that is really strange that we don't really know the origin of Tishpak's name with certainty, or the origin of the deity with certainty. Like, that's weird. So Tishpak sounds like it could possibly be Elamite or Hurrian in origin. I'm definitely not ruling out the possibility, though, of it being Akkadian in origin or even Sumerian. Like you can't rule that out. Is there any other possibilities? Like any other origins? Wouldn't be Kassite, would it? Like no, because then Tishpak would show up. I don't know. I'm a little perplexed about this. Um, so we'll probably make two videos over this since I'm. Yeah, we'll definitely have to make two videos over this. Um, but we'll go over his character and iconography here, and then we'll do part two later on, maybe tomorrow. And as always, like, if you have anything more to add that I'm not mentioning, like, what your theories are on his origin as well, I mean, I would love to know. That's why I'm doing these videos, because I can't get to through everything in just one short video. So on the deities in just one short video. So I would love to know everyone else's thoughts on this. Like, what do you think the origin of this deity and his name is? At this point, I'm not certain. But I'm not ruling out Akkadian or Sumerian. And it's possible that it's Elamite or Hurrian. I'm not sure about, like, the mixture of both. An inscription of King Dedusha of Eshnuna indicates that Tishpak was regarded as one of the major gods in this city's sphere of influence, as he occurs right after Anu, Enlil, Sin, and Shamash, and before the storm god Adad. His character was similar to Nanazu's. He was a warrior god, described as the warrior of the gods, or the Ursag Ili, as it's called in Akkadian. The incantation series Sherpu highlights this feature, calling him Lord of the Troops and placing him in a sequence with Ningirsu and Zababa. Who were both regarded as warlike deities. An Akkadian text from Eshnuna additionally characterizes him as steward of the sea, or Abarak Tiamtim, and fierce hero, Kuradam Ezem. Kuradam Ezem. So Tishpak's attributes overlapped with those of Nanazu and included two maces and various snakes and serpentine monsters, especially the dragon Mushusu, which, of course, is shared with deities like Marduk as well. A year name from Eshnuna additionally indicates a bronze plow was one of the sacred objects held in his main temple. In the poorly preserved, they have he's got his own mythology too from Eshnuna, called the Labu myth, which we should go over after I'm finished with the videos here on Tishpak. We should go over that. So in the poorly preserved Labu myth, and it's a little, I guess it's a little poorly preserved. It's been a while since I read over it myself. So in the poorly preserved Labu myth, Tishpak's divine weapon is a seal, and he is described as capable of causing storms. It does not necessarily indicate that he was a weather god, as Ninurta and Marduk, who had no such role, also use atmospheric phenomenon as weapons in their respective myths, in their respective mythology. Such an interpretation was suggested in older studies, but is no longer accepted today. So I do see some similarities with Tishpak and Marduk. Then also kind of Ninurta, and I'm sure there's some with Ninazu. Tishpak's name was represented logographically with the sign Mush, which could also designate other deities, for example, in Shushanak. I wonder if there's a connection between Shushanak and Tishpak, too. I'm not sure. On cylinder seals, Tishpak could be depicted riding on a Mushusu. Sounds like Marduk, kinda. Now, was Nanazu also depicted with a Mushusu too? References to visual representations of him treading on a dragon are also known from Mesopotamian texts. Additionally, while Mesopotamians generally imagined the gods as fully anthropomorphic, he was on occasion described as green in color, possibly indicating that he was assumed to have snake-like skin. A scaled god occurs on seals from Eshnuna, but according to Franz Wigerman, he might be Ninazu rather than Tishpak. As noted by Theodore Lewis, art from Eshnuna, likely to depict Tishpak and monsters associated with him, is often incorrectly labeled as Canaanite, even in professional publication, bypassing any reference to Tishpak. Oh, that's weird. Eshnuna is nowhere near Canaanite land area. The Canaanite area. What the heck? We'll end there. This is just part 1, and we'll do part 2 and maybe even a part 3. I don't know. Here soon. And when I do part 2, it'll start with his associations with other deities. He does have a consort named Kula, known as the Queen of Eshnuna. We'll go over her as well. And I'm sure it'll get more interesting as we go on. All right, so I'll just end there. This is just part 1. Let me know your thoughts, comments below on the god Tishpak, the Mesopotamian god Tishpak, of uncertain origin. That's what makes this so interesting too. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and comments below. Anything else that you would like to add, feel free to do so. And I'll be back with more videos about the god Tishpak here soon.